Hello, friends. It's Chris Angel coming at you for another episode of Marketing for the Rest of Us. Happy Thursday? Yes, it's Thursday at the day of this recording. And I am coming to you after walking the dog. And while walking the dog, I did happen to check some social media. Yes, I know. Oh, you're one of those people who are walking around on the sidewalks while looking at your phone. Yep, it's true. But here's what I noticed, right? As I was checking social media, I saw some DMs. And I actually got this DM on LinkedIn, which now I just don't trust DMs on LinkedIn. Even if their first message to me is, hey, just want to connect, and there's no pitch, I've had so many pitches that now I don't trust anybody who DMs me on LinkedIn, right? It's like going to a networking event and just knowing that everybody there actually just wants your business and doesn't actually want to listen to you or get to know you, right? They're just like waiting to pounce on you if there's any sign that you might be a potential client or if you're breathing, right? So it was an interesting thought as I had it, because I was sitting there looking at this experience I was having. The person's profile picture in the DM looked kind, right? His message did not have a call to action. He wasn't pitching me anything. And he was immediately suspect. I immediately didn't like him. I'm like, nope, that profile picture's too fake. I mean, I made up all sorts of stories about who this person was. And maybe that's not fair to him, but I don't really care, because that's the environment that we are now marketing in, right? People don't trust your DMs. They don't trust your friend requests. They don't trust it because they don't know you. So some people would say like, oh, well, let's DM people, because when you DM people, it's like a faster path to a conversation. And so that might be true, right? Other people may not be as skeptical as me. So maybe that works for some people. But this is why I love content marketing, because marketing from a place of sharing your message or leading a conversation in the world, when people experience you that way first, and then you DM them. Like if this person who had DM'd me on LinkedIn was somebody that I followed, if he had run an ad of a clip of something he said, and I'm like, oh, I really like what that guy had to say. And then I saw another one of his ads, and then I followed his page, and then I started liking his content. Maybe I jumped into his podcast, and I kept choosing the next stage of relationship with this guy because I liked what he said. And then he DM'd me and said, hey, thanks for checking out my podcast, or hey, I just wanted to connect. Well, now I have a relationship with him. Now even though we've never met, at least now I can get a sense of who he is. But to DM me without any conversation on the front end, right? Like again, your content is your conversation. So without any conversation, you DM me, you're immediately suspect. So let's just get this, right? This is the environment you're marketing in. This is why content marketing is so critical to your entire approach to your marketing, because it creates familiarity. It creates relationship with you. So let's move this conversation now to chatbots, right? The chatbot thing that's happening, there's a lot of it going on. There's some podcasts I listen to that are sort of on the cutting edge of what's happening in digital marketing these days. And one of the recent episodes on that podcast was about these chatbots, which have been around for 3 or 4 years, but they're gaining popularity. Why? Because they're DMs and they come off as sounding personal. But if they come off as sounding personal and there's no previous or prior existing relationship through your content, then it comes off as suspect. And I think we all start to smell the trap, right? It doesn't take long for us on the consumer end to start to smell the trap. Like once we've been trapped once, we're like, oh no, I've been here before. I've touched this hot stove before. I'm not doing this again. So if you're going to use chatbots, what is important? I'll pose the question to you. What's important? What do you need to have before you start to engage the chatbots with your audience? You need to have content. You need to have a show. You need to have some prior existing relationship before you just go out and start using chatbots with people. Otherwise, you run the risk of my experience today with a person on LinkedIn who was saying, hey, just want to connect. And I'm like, that's bullshit. You don't want to just connect. Like, and maybe he did, right? But I'm telling you, like, that was my initial gut reaction, was like, you don't know me and you're wanting to connect. I don't believe it. I don't buy it. And that's just the cynicism that we market into these days. So if you're going to use chatbots, then it's important that you have a prior relationship through your content. You don't need to know them personally, like have met them, but this is why you want to start to build warm audiences through your content, because when you have a warm audience of people who appreciate your perspective in the world about certain things, then when you start to employ chatbots to that warm audience, now there's actually connection. And they may even know that that it's a chatbot, but they'll still interact with it because they want to connect with you, because they know it's from you, of you, right? So this is an important thing in this day and age. Like I'm getting irritated at the level of this trend of DMs, because I think people have tried the other stuff and they're like, oh, now DMs, somebody must be teaching it, right? Because you can see the trend. And as soon as somebody teaches it, then everybody else jumps on the bandwagon. They're all like, oh yeah, so I guess what we're supposed to do is like DM people. Okay, I'll just go DM people. I'll copy and paste what other people tell me to do, and I'll just do that. And this is what makes it worse. This is why people like Gary Vaynerchuk say that marketers ruin everything, because somebody decides to teach chatbots and they're like, hey, chatbots are the thing. Here's just copy and paste this in your next interaction on LinkedIn. And so next thing you know, people are doing it, and we all smell it as on the consumer end, because the next thing you know, you're pitching us. So guys, this has multiple messages in this, right? One is that you need to have content, because content creates the relationship. Two, if you're going to employ chatbots, you better have a content strategy on the front end before you start to employ those. Otherwise, it's wasted dollars. And here's a third. This was the final golden nugget here in this conversation, is you need to think for yourself. Just because somebody teaches it doesn't mean it's true. Or just because somebody teaches it and it worked for somebody else, you need to think why it works for you and how you want it to work for yourself, and understand the bigger principles at play in the landscape of marketing, which is we are marketing to humans. We're not marketing to idiots. We're not marketing to people who don't understand social trends and things that are happening, like spammy PMs or DMs, right? So you need to always think about who we are as humans. And how do you create connection? Because underlying all of marketing is the connection. It's the relationship. And then you can use tools to enhance it. But God, don't just go out and start using tools to try to pitch people and close a sale without a pre-existing relationship. That's not going to last. That's not sustainable. That won't scale. But relationship does scale. Relationship, and it's weird, because you would think that relationship actually doesn't scale. You can't have relationship with more than 100 or 200 people. But what I've found with content marketing is that you actually can. That hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of people can feel connected to you and feel like they know you because you share vulnerably through your content. That can be relationship at scale. So if you'd like to learn more about how to create marketing that makes a real connection in relationship, you can check out my free course at groundswellmethod.com. Other than that, I will see you tomorrow for another episode of Marketing for the Rest of Us on Facebook Live. See ya.